Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to do another shop update. More specifically, we're going to break down this little collision job we have in the shop right now. This is a 65 Corvette convertible that got hit in the rear end. It was like a kind of a secondary collision that they got hit, a truck behind them got hit and plowed into them, but it was still a pretty significant hit. It took out and cracked this left rear quarter panel. It completely broke this tail panel, the upper and the lower, totaled the bumpers out, pushed all that stuff in, the brackets. It folded in this rear cross member and actually bent the frame a little bit as well. It was significant, but very fixable. These cars are, you kind of have to know how to handle them, but they're really pretty modular in the sense that you can buy pieces, go back to factory bonding strips, and make it a pretty seamless repair at the end of the day. We got the old panels cut off, so it's a complete quarter panel, this rear tail panel, and this lower valance piece. This lower valance piece unbolts separately, but we've separated the old panels off. There's a bonding strip behind everything. From the factory, how they build these, this rear panel is here, this tail panel comes, and they basically butt together, and there's what's called a bonding strip behind it. That bonding strip is factory, and we're gonna retain the original bonding strip because it wasn't broken. We actually cut the original panel off, and sometimes you can like break it off and kind of chip it off. Sometimes you have to grind it, and you grind down just to that bonding strip. You do that all the way around because we want to completely remove that original panel. And then you lay the new panel, overlap it over that bonding strip. That bond is made, then it's ground into and fiberglassed, and that's what completes the repair. So basically that's just kind of a part of the prep process. And you can see that goes all the way around. Those are all the seams. Goes down the quarter panel. Two panels join here. So we had to replace this bonding strip, but two panels come together there. There's there, all the way down the side, up to the door jamb. Some of the inner fender stuff, that all gets bonded to the quarter panel, so that had to be removed. Here's more kind of inner fender splash shield support stuff. The new stuff gets bonded right to that. So retaining as much of the original as we can, which helps us to locate things. It helps us, there's no reason to remove it if we can reuse that and it wasn't damaged. So as we look at a job like this, just bear with me. We've already made a little bit of progress, but I'm just gonna kind of explain to you the thinking and the steps that we take to get to where we are now. So this rear cross member was hit and crunched in. So we could see that. We really need to initially assess the damage of what needs to be repaired so we can make the right order of how we're gonna go about things. So cross member was damaged and crunched all the way into the fuel tank. So one of the first things that needed to be done was just to get that fuel tank out. We already had a new rear cross member, and we knew that needed to be done. So those frame gauges that you see, there's two up front there hanging from the frame now. And then we had a third one in the back on this rear cross member. That gives us a level and a line of sight to show if the frame is straight or not significantly. It's not like laser measurement and everything like that, but it's a great indication, especially when you think about the tolerances of a chassis of this vintage. Those pretty much spot anything that's abnormal. We did notice there was a little twist in the frame in the back, just behind the original box of the frame up front where it bends down. There's just a little bend from there, and we could see that based off of our frame gauges. From there, we cut this rear cross member out. We rigged this up and straightened that portion of the frame until we were happy with the level, and it matched up to the other two gauges, which just gave us those 3 points to reference. That allowed us to continue to move forward with the fiberglass repair. So we made that kind of that big move first, got this rear cross member reinstalled, which worked out really good. From there, you know, that's where the bumpers mount off of and a whole bunch of other stuff ties into it. So making sure that that's straight is a super important part of this. After that, we can go through and remove all the original panels. So much of this was broken. The bumpers came off, all that other damaged stuff came off. We keep it all until the job's done, but just put it off to the side. We have all new replacement parts for everything boxed up, just ready to go as we need them for fit. So after all of that stuff is removed, another really important part is to have good parts. So this is all American made, reputable parts from a good supplier. Matt did a lot of the fit up on this. So from there, we use Clecos so that it can be mocked up and taken apart and adjusted, or clamps and everything. It's a lengthy process to get everything adjusted right. You have to look at things like how does, you know, when he's fitting this on here, using the Clecos is super handy because you can take them on and off so many times. And if you're not familiar with Clecos, the way they work, you drill an 1/8 inch hole, you compress that spring, and it collapses these two fingers. And then as it comes out, it expands them. So it creates a clamp within an 1/8 inch hole, so it can be used over and over again. We use these in fiberglass work, and primarily we use them in sheet metal work. They're from the aircraft industry originally. But after that, it's a lengthy process of getting these panels fit. Like I was saying, you're referencing things like this body line. You want to make sure that it comes into this tail light properly on each side and that matches. You can see how we kind of tried to find the peak here in this panel so that we know that this body line is centered here. All those little indications of what we reference for the fit. It's very consistent throughout a lot of different things we do on cars, but anytime you can find something to work off of, it helps you dramatically. So just like metal shaping, you're shaping something in space. If we can reference tail light to here, tail light to there, that's like concrete now. So now we can just we know that this is good. Okay, we can kind of work off of that. So anytime we can find stuff like that, it really helps us. So then we'll get the quarter panel back on. And like I said, Matt has already had all this stuff fit up. So now I'm just kind of going through the motions of getting it hung on here for you to see it. We've done a fair amount of all the Corvettes we've done, we've had to make repairs on. We've done a handful of complete like nose replacements, which is a one-piece part that's really commonly damaged from front end accidents. Yeah, on occasion we'll do one of these collision jobs in between something, and they work out good. A little more kind of in and out, which is nice sometimes. The fit is roughed in right now. The next step is to get, we're waiting on the bumper brackets. That'll allow us to bolt the bumpers on. And like I said, that's another concrete thing we can kind of rely on. We're not gonna modify the bumpers, so we want to make sure that the bumpers are gonna fit. There's movement in all this stuff. You know, this goes up and down. We gotta adjust everything and make sure it's gonna fit the bumper. We don't wanna go bonding all this stuff on. It's all glued in place and solid and held down forever, and now we're trying to fit the bumper, and there's a different problem that we found that we didn't realize was before. So you got to think about everything along the way. This lower valance has to fit in between the two sections of the quarter panel. So that's another important spot to get right. Yeah, very much just halfway put in here for now, but that's okay. So you kind of get the idea of what the steps are to get at least to this point. Maybe we'll do a little kind of final once it's all painted and everything, and you can see the finished product, but it's really coming along pretty good. It's a bit of work, but it's turning into a pretty simple repair. The body color it's old paint, so it's faded a little bit. It's not like, you know, we're gonna spray the new stuff and it's gonna be shinier, it's gonna look a little bit different. So that's always a challenge when you're working on an older vehicle. So we had somebody come out and scan the paint, and this is our first spray out. So we always do a spray out of the color. That's really important because the metallics orient slightly differently when they're sprayed and dried, and how they're sprayed and everything. So the guy that's gonna paint the car does a spray out, and we use that along with this sunlight to check the color. So this is an okay color match. It's a good place to start. Chances are we'll do some tinting from here, but you can kind of, you know, some of it's in the clear coat. It's kind of not shiny, but you can see a little bit of the dullness of the original color compared to the new stuff. So that's going to be the trick with this car, is to get that done right. We do have quite a bit of blend room, so the car is going to be painted all the way to here solid, and then we'll be able to blend the base coat through the door a ways, maybe halfway or so, and then clear coat gets sprayed all the way to the edge of the door. We're effectively painting to the fronts of both doors, but we have from here to here to blend. So it's a really long distance to blend this color out. So that's in our favor, but we'll see. We'll probably get a little closer to this and be good with that. Brian's doing a really good job getting this exhaust fabbed up for the supercharged Chevelle project. It's all 3-inch stainless. This is how far he made it today. Made it to a good point. We got the flex couplers in here. Allows the stainless to kind of expand and contract as it heats and cools, and limits a little bit of vibration as well. These ultimate headers are really awesome. They fit good in these chassis. It's an Art Morrison chassis. They're made for that with an LS. Got the X pipe in there that Brian made here. Really critical that we maintain good ground clearance on this thing because it's going to be low. We actually moved this cross member up a little farther just to get this pipe up. But I mean, you can see how nice and level that is to the frame. and it goes, this is actually still higher than the bottom of the frame here, goes into the X and then goes up a little bit. Just worked out really good. It's gonna be pretty awesome system. Snuck some line clamps in there even, shoot. Yeah, not a lot of room in these cars, especially when you go low and you gotta have a short tank. And then we wanted the exhaust to run through here so that it doesn't have to dip down to where you see it. So the tank had to be narrowed, but that's all part of the plan. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, like it. If you have a question, leave it in a comment and ask it. We're trying to answer and be super responsive to everybody. Follow us on all the socials and check back for more videos.
Sweet.
Perfect.